Tim, great to see you. You're a partner at August Equity. Have you found your operations have changed as you've grown as a fund?
Well, I think when you first start out, I mean, naturally you have probably very few skill sets within the firm, and naturally you build out by outsourcing. You probably then typically start to bring some of that back in-house and then go through the process of thinking again, do I outsource? We try to keep it quite lean, and to be honest, we keep quite a bit in-house at the moment. We've outsourced the usual services such as tax regulation, compliance, that type of thing, and legal services, but to be honest we do most of it in-house at the moment. But I'm open-minded. I'm always looking to see what outsourcing opportunities there are.
What do you think some of the key sort of features of outsourcing or key responsibilities you want to hold back?
Fundamentally, you'll never walk away from responsibility. I mean, the FCA make that very clear, but everyone makes it clear. It would always be your responsibility that the right service is provided at the right price, and you can't walk away from that. But I think what you can benefit from by outsourcing is you can de-risk the business because you reduce dependencies on key people. You pass that risk, if you like, on to the outsourced provider because then they have to staff up if somebody's off sick. You can mitigate the risks of technology change by outsourcing that because again the provider is responsible for making sure everything's up to date and up to speed. So I think there are advantages in doing it, but you just got to be aware of the fact that fundamentally it's your business, it's your service, whether somebody does it for you or not.
What sort of cultural ethos do you look for in your outsourcing partner?
Well, that's absolutely key for us, and probably one of the reasons why we haven't outsourced as much as I'd probably like to do. You've got to have shared values. There has to be a similar culture between you and the service provider, and that's probably almost as important, if not more important, than actually being of around the same sort of size and having the same sort of economic interest. As a small private equity fund manager, our risk is partnering with very, very large firms who see us as a very small client. And clearly there's an issue there in terms of reaction and concern around service levels. Culture, I think, can help overcome that. If you have the same sort of culture, then they'll understand how important it is to you. So I think it's easy to underestimate that.
In terms of the guys on the other side of the table, what do you look for them to focus on? Is it you as a client or the industry at large? I
think for me it would be the client. You know, I'm not really bothered whether they're necessarily PE experts, to be honest. Some of the services we have outsourced, such as human resources, we have not given to PE specialists, we have given to HR specialists. That's what matters. So they need to see us first and foremost as a client. And yeah, clearly, if it's fund administration, you need somebody with private equity experience. If it's legal services, of course you do. But IT, no, not necessarily. It needs to be somebody who understands a small professional services business and can respond accordingly.
And has it been interesting at Super Returns to compare your model with others?
Yeah, I think it's interesting the disparity actually in outsourcing, and you talk to people sort of off camera, you hear some of the war stories that people are prepared to share. So in a way it's quite nice because you find out you're not alone, you're not unique, you've got the same issues. But I think it's a trend that more and more firms will outsource more and more, and that's not just because of demand, it's also because of supply. There are more firms offering more services, and fundamentally if they get it right, they can be very attractive to people like me.
And do you see a change in the way LPs view outsourcing?
Personally, no, I haven't seen that. I'd be wrong if I said we get any pressure to do things externally or to keep things in-house. I think what limited partners want to see is first-rate service behind, obviously, the returns. Returns are absolutely core, but beyond that, they want good quality reporting. We deliver that through our own team, and investors are happy with that. But we don't see any pressure to move it out-house or keep it in-house, no.
Great, well thanks very much for your time, and look forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you.
Thanks.